talk about in terms of, this is great, but this doesn't obviously simulate that. The old passive like that doesn't happen a lot during an actual game. It's happening much more in motion. You have to adjust to a ball that's moving at different paces, different spots on the court. What are the major things that you can do on any given play to help be more successful? I think a couple of things that we'll talk about. Striker ground ball. Can you see the bar fast? So you want to hit, you're going to pass a couple rams. Yeah. And so even if we just do a simple pass, a couple of things we notice about when ramp passes. Typically, and if you start a little bit farther back and come into it, so like you're, so you're going to come into it. Typically, and you're left-handed, right? Yeah. So typically, when you're going to pass this coming in, it's very much like people who take a shot. It's your strong foot is forward, and you're all the way reaching out. And a couple of things that people mistake on this is one, they plant their feet, right? They become really rigid and lock their knees. You want to be very mobile. It's much more like you've studying basketball training. You don't triple threat stop, right? You're supposed to jump. Like I can pass, I can shoot, I can dribble, right? It's the same idea. Staying low is part of it. You need to be mobile. And particularly in the modern volleyball, you do some of this, but also you do that. And the problem that people have, particularly people who don't have a lot of experience, is they start running around the court like this, right? And gotta get that ball, gotta get that ball. But what happens when you supply? Oh my God, it's right in their mud, right? Your position to start, what's your ready position look like? It's open and ready. It's to go here, 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 here. Either one is a pass, right? But the same concept applies so that you can go low above, but you can for the same one, and it's above his head. You can go low and stretch out, you can go above, and it's above his head. That allows you to not lose that ball. And that's also what people end up doing is running around in that position, right? It's an open, ready position. In terms of that too, one of the things that also often happens is, if you haven't done that a lot, people inevitably interlace their fingers. Do not interlace your fingers. You're gonna bust your knuckles open, or you're also doing the worst thing possible, which is when you put your hands out with your fingers interlaced, see what that feels like and looks like if you were to try that, and then try holding one hand like a fist, and then wrapping your second hand around it, and opening it up, and look at what it does to your forearms. That is the difference. When you do this, you hit right on that edge of that bone. What happens? It's a hard edge that it ricochets off of. As soon as you do this, it forces your forearms open and wide. It creates a platform. There's the surface area to cushion that ball. More area to hit and go the right way. Even if it's not perfect, it's going the right way, right? And that's the final piece, is most of the time when we start talking about passing and movement, I like to think about defense as, if this is the court that I'm playing on, my first play defensively is I'm playing everything ready and forward. It's inside, it's from the outside in. Everything should move in front of me, right? So things aren't gonna go, anything that's way up over my head, it's out. Everything's in front of me low, I can go high, I can go low, it's open, and my goal is to stay open. And I kept reframing that as we did the basic initial drill, moving to the ball first, getting your feet there. Because if the worst cut pace happens, and I get here and somebody blasts me with the ball, if I'm doing this, which way is it likely to go? If I'm like this, which way is it likely to go? Which one does my team have a shot at? If I'm getting hit, at least be hit towards the court. That's more than happens. It sounds corny, but that happens all the time. Get hit going the right way. Dumb luck, right? That the averages are on your side. So the first thing to do is get your body there in front of that ball, and then you're ready to go high or low, keeping your forearms open, and then move your feet. That's a big thing. All right, so here's what we're gonna do to start. We're gonna have groups of 6 working on each court, all right? And so you're gonna have one person, you're gonna have basically pairs. One person's gonna be tossing, the other person's gonna be passing. So you're gonna be one ball per pair, and what it's gonna look like is if you're my pair, he starts by coming and touching the 10-foot line, touching the line, and then I'm gonna toss, you're gonna back up and pass the ball. You're gonna come up and touch that line, and I'm gonna pass. And you're gonna back up and pass that ball. You come and touch that line, I'm gonna pass that ball. And you can mix up a couple of shots, so sometimes it's forearm, sometimes it's head, but the idea is to get there fast, low, and contact that ball. All right? I'll do that for a little while, and we're gonna switch. It gets tired real fast. All right? There you go. Get low. The ready position in volleyball is not a knee or weight balance friendly position. It is set all the time. At a high level of volleyball, you can go multiple plays and never touch the ball and you're exhausted because you were in a crouched ready position the whole time. And that is what it takes. That's why it's hard. That's why you train to be ready and low and open and moving. As soon as you stand up, lock position, everything's rigid, you cannot react. People who are really good, it's not that they get every time it's right to them, it looks great. It's when you're hitting those balls that are not traditional to them. They can adjust to different kinds of balls. The goal of this, very much like basketball defense, the thing when you ever taught basketball defense, the thing you not want to do is cross your feet, right? As soon as you cross your feet, you're done. It's about keeping open. I can go forward, I can go back. As soon as I cross my feet, I lose my balance, right? This is about being able to move side to side and get settled and pass the ball. Move side to side, move side to side, pass, move side to side, pass, move side to side, okay? Questions? No? Questions? So, yes?
Does it matter which foot you lead with? I'm assuming your outside foot?
Typically, yes, because that's like a shuffle of basketball. The outside moves first. Stay wide. It's about staying low. You don't want to stand up. It's about lateral movement, staying low. Okay? That makes some sense? You won't do that for very long for each round because it is tiring, right? That is the goal. And don't worry about how great the pass is. The focus is getting there, settling, and opening yourself and getting good contact. And again, this is a good time to practice. If I get here, I'm facing this way, there's ball. And you get there, you're going to where I want to hit me, and go where I want it to go. The backstop. So even if somebody crushes it here, oh my gosh, you blew me up. Oh, look, the ball's in play. Nothing more demoralizing than crushing that ball, you tattoo that guy, and it's right up. So, the other thing we talk about service and balls on and the balls that are most often played, right? Honestly, it's that hustle. It's not just the hustle ball, but it's that ball where you're extremely moving and you're not set, right? That's the one that gets you. And the two times it typically gets you, when you don't go to the middle, right? It's either we're going to put it way in front of you, I'm going to put it over the top of you, right? If you're going to stand in the middle, I'm going to force you to choose. I'm either going to go short or I'm going to go long if I can't overpower you. So, how do we deal with those two balls, right? How do we do that in terms of passing? And typically, it's kind of as follows. The two things that we can work on that are very worthwhile is one, how do you get that ball without necessarily diving that you're having to pursue, right? How are we going to get that kind of a ball? And I think we'll be able to do this. We might be able to do one toss right here. This, where it's a short ball or it's behind you. And both of them have to do with, first off, getting to the ball first. It's still footwork, right? And then what do you do once you're there, right? If you don't want to dive, you don't have to dive. If you get there, that oftentimes is what happens as well. Somebody hustles really hard to get a short ball, and they don't know what to do once they get there, right? Then they get there, it's not above your head, it's not on the ground or diving, it's somewhere in between. So typically what ends up happening is people run at it, and they have their platform out, and if I just hit it like this, it just goes straight here, it goes to net, it's all a mess, right? That happens all the time. You see that person kind of stumbles forward and hits the ball, goes straight forward, right? Because it's like this, it's just a straight platform, they're already leaning over, and they're just rushing, right? So, one of the things that we used to talk about a lot with the team I played with is a run-through pass. What do I do to get there and once I get there? And the common term we always use the term, I don't know if you guys call it this, we used to call it the J-stroke. You gotta do a J-stroke, which is, you're gonna run at the ball, but as you get there, if I keep my arms forward, it's gonna go straight ahead, right? I'm gonna pull my ball and make a J. I'm gonna get underneath it and I'm gonna hit it and run through. I don't care where my body is up as long as it's legal. My job is to get there and contact it cleanly and up and behind me or up and to the side. But what it prevents you from doing is getting to a ball and being static and hitting straight ahead or in between and not knowing what to do with it. It allows you to time it, pop it up, and go past it. That is how it comes. And the whole goal of this as well, a good get, a good tough ball, it's not about getting it to the perfect center spot. It's about getting the ball up and in play. That's it. You've earned an extra touch, right? And it's all about do that more often in games, more often than we do that. So you don't have to crush it. That's the other thing that happens in this scenario too. Is you get there, you do the Dre stroke, and it's not just controlling, people are like, wham! And it's like up off the ceiling. That happens all the time when people run for a ball. They overplay because they're excited once they get there. Good defense, good pursuit is about going fast, and then when you're about to contact it, you can call.
So there's a slightly, the big J stroke is good, and then there's also one that might not work for everyone, but if we're thinking about the same idea that your platform is kind of an angle the ball's coming off, and if your platform's flat, the alternative idea is if you're getting to a ball and you want to get lower than the ball, and you can, that's okay too. So if your platform, if you're up here, your platform's here, or if your hands are here, it's this angle. But if you can get low and underneath the ball without diving, this is the same kind of idea, right? Because if you're this low, and your hands are here, then your platform is more up, or even you want it sometimes a little bit back towards you, right? So that the ball stays on your side. So J stroke, or if you feel flexible enough, or if you have time to get there and such, then if you can get low and kind of get the same angle on your platform, that works for me.
And yeah, it's the idea of being able to be controlled and have options besides just trying to mush the ball and chase it in, or dive inappropriately, right? You dive and it's too high. What do you do when it's in between? And the options are, like you said, get low. Oftentimes people see really good passes, they'll get low and they'll just right here, right? They're taking a knee or something. Or if they really are in a high motion, they're running through and popping up and running through. It's all about getting there and controlling that ball up and having an option besides running through at an angle and just pushing it forward, which is what most people do, right? Okay, so I think we can do this with, this is usually rapid fire. So I think we've got, we have four persons come from the toss and stuff. We can do this with, here's what we're gonna try. We're gonna do, this one we actually do in a line because it's usually rapid fire. I don't know if we have, we should, do we have enough for one person to toss? I think we should have enough for one person to toss. Do we want 4 chords? So we're gonna try to break up on 4 chords, the same way. We're gonna have 6 people. In this case, what you're gonna have is a line, and let's start the line. It can actually be to the in the middle back. It doesn't have to be anywhere specific. We're gonna have one of me or the 2 other guys tossing. We'll figure out who's gonna toss on that last chord, and at least to start. And you're gonna have basically people, a couple people sitting next to the tosser who are gonna if that's the target, they're gonna grab the ball and hand the next one to the coach. Once you grab it, you get in line, and everybody's just going to run through. It's going to be rapid fire. We're going to throw it out in front of you. You're going to run through pass, and then go past one. Run through pass, go past one. Run through pass, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple questions about
Yes.
the stage stroke.
Yes.
So, I've never heard of this before, so I'm looking forward to learning it. But it looks like you're hitting it at a sharp enough angle
Yes.
that if you were hitting it straight at you, it would hit you in the face. So you have to hit it to one side of your head or the other.
Oh,
or
not,
is it not that sharp?
not necessarily.
Okay.
So the follow through is like that, but you're contacting it. The idea is you're contacting it when your arms are parallel to the floor, so it comes straight out.
Okay, so go more up, not
Yeah,
behind.
but usually it's hard to run like this, right?
Right.
So the idea is to take your natural motion and just pop right up, right? And oftentimes, like you do see that. People will hit it and they'll go right up here, right? If you get too much. But the idea is often, most of the time, I'm trying to put it, I'm hitting it where it's flat, right? And trying to put it just right to the side of me. Yeah.
You can break your platform on a J stroke. So normally for almost all passing, you want to keep your platform solid. J stroke is one of the few times where it's okay. You kind of just have to scoop it.
Yeah.
What matters is you still need to get a good contact on your forearms, but it can be with bent elbows. You don't need
Yeah.
to try to platform and keep yourself locked.
Yeah, and that's because there has to be some non-rigidity to attack a dynamic ball, right? Because that's the problem, is if you lock that elbow, it's like a traditional pass, you cannot get the right angle to be able to get underneath. This allows you to get under and pull it up. All right? No, you get that. Back a little low. Other kind of ball. Ways to attack a ball moving forward. And all this still highlights the need of, by the end, I could see people that were literally almost starting like a track person, right? I mean, that's what they were doing. You're ready to go. How often do you feel like you're ever that low during a normal game? Right? That's the point. That's what you should be like. You should be low and ready to go forward. It highlights how much you need to be ready to go forward to make those plays. Right? You need to be ready to go and release, pull it up. Right? That's the job of that person to pursue that ball behind that block, that tip, that touch off the ball. Speaking of that, the other most common area that people fall short on is not as much during serve receive, but during a game. In particular, when there's a touch on the block, a shank ball off a pass, and now the ball is not in front of them, it's behind them. What do we do? Here are the things that I see people do. People do the flail with one hand. They do the hopeful look at their partner. They do the resigned good serve. They do the resigned good shot. They do the try to backpedal and somehow flail at it. These are all the things that happen when that ball is deep and it's legally played, right? Off a shake, off a touch. It doesn't matter if it's going out. It's your problem now, right?
Those are good options.
Right? So, what are your options? This, again, is about getting to the ball as quickly as possible. And it works, in this case, almost more like a football analogy than a basketball, but it still has the same issue. You're trying not to cross your feet. And you want to get there as quickly as possible. This also happens if you watch people who play sand a lot and watch twos, they always have a blocking person. When the person chooses not to block, if you ever watch their footwork, they fake block and they turn and go as fast as they can and then turn back. But they turn their hips. They don't fake block and go, oh, I'm gonna get you, right? That takes too long, you lost your balance. It's like a quarterback in football. If you watch a quarterback, their job is not to cross their feet. Their job is to watch, and then when it's time to turn and burn, and that when DK Metcalf's trying to outrun you that way, you've got to turn your hips, open up, and take off. That's the same thing that the sand player does when they fake block. I'm not going to block, I'm going to turn, open up, get back, and I can play. If I try to, it takes too long to come back, right? Gotta open your hips and turn. Same thing. I'm here. Ball's that way, turn, I'm going to go play behind me. I'm not going to backpedal. I'm not going to do it. I might clap these, but what you're trying to do is turn and chase. Then you're basically doing the same idea. Very often, you're now doing the same kind of a J stroke, coming back towards the court. Issues that people have with this: one, deciding when to turn and go. That's hard. The more you get it right, the more you practice, the more you get. Second, very much like the J stroke, and I saw this happen with a couple folks. People got there, and then they pop it and their knuckles go straight to the ceiling. They get so excited about getting there, they overplay it. Same thing here. Your job, if you get a ball going out back here, is not to set a perfect dime in the far corner. That's not your job. If you put the ball 10 feet or higher, 8 feet or higher, and it's inside this court, you have done your job. Don't overplay it. Guide it back in. You oftentimes don't have to swing at it. Just direct it back. Yeah. Yes.
This is probably my absolute biggest pet peeve in all of volleyball ever, which is, let's say that the first touch is off a block, or if somebody shanks a pass, and you're that person that's running all the way over here to get the ball, right? If you are this person's teammate, I see so many times, like all 5 people just standing in the same spots where they started. If this was my team and you have a teammate just sprinting off the end of the court just to get any kind of chance on the ball.
Is to do this. Here, right behind you.
Yeah, just spread. If you have a teammate just chasing the ball and hustling this hard and they get a touch, if they're really, like, if they're on time, maybe they blast it really high, whatever. There's a lot of touches in volleyball. All they're going to get is like a backhand that's going somewhere. So if your teammate is hustling this far off the end line, I want the team to just kind of spread out, cover as much different court as possible so that no matter where this person's hitting the ball, if it's off the ground, you guys have a chance to play it, right? Because you never want to see the person hustle all the way over here, they hit the ball up, it's right here, and then nobody moves and nobody gets the third ball and points dead, right?
And I think what that highlights that is, it can be tough to have a second person pursue that far, but more often than not, you would dig it and it ends up there. It's on the court, and no one's pursuing to help, right? They've done their job. They put the ball back here and it's in the playable court, at least the height of the net or above. Somebody should be helping that. That's all they need to do. Their job is not to set it back to the net, right? And so again, it's about how do you get that ball that's most often dropped while moving. It's just a matter of being able to bring it forward, or it's time to turn and go the other way and try to bring it back. And again, it's not about being perfect, it's about being touch. There you go. There